I have so much to tell you, I don't even know where to begin. For once, I am half at a loss for words. Okay, to begin this tale, to begin this journey, I first need to tell you a little bit of a story. About 3 years ago, I became really obsessed with this idea of having a dollhouse. I never really had a dollhouse as a kid. I actually really wasn't ever into dolls, so that's really not that surprising. I did, however, used to have a neighbor that lived across the street from me that had this really huge antique dollhouse, and one of my favorite things to do with it was to rearrange the furniture and decorate it and just get in there, right? And I just got really obsessed with it. And since then, I've always had some sort of interest in miniatures. Less about the doll portion of it, more about the decorating and rearranging, which is really no surprise. If you watch my channel, you know I'm a big rearranger. When I can't sleep at night, I rearrange furniture in my mind. That's just the way that it goes. A couple of years ago, I got really obsessed with the idea of getting a dollhouse, most likely a kit, and assembling it myself and trying to totally alter it into the spooky dollhouse of my dreams. I was doing a lot of research, I was shopping around, I was trying to find one secondhand, trying to find one like on Craigslist. I was researching different kits to see if I wanted to like build one myself, but I just never was super interested in the idea of actually constructing one on my own. And I went back and forth a lot about how much do I really want to invest into this project, and time and money and all of that. It just seemed kind of silly. Like, is this too crazy of an idea for me to do a dollhouse by bun style? And at this time, my patrons know this because I was talking about it a lot in my vlogs. I was bookmarking things on Pinterest, I had mood boards, I started to jot down like stories of different rooms that I would sort of create. I even started like a little bit of a sketchbook, sketching up ideas of things that I would build and themes of rooms and stuff. And I thought that maybe if I wasn't gonna do a giant dollhouse, I would get something on a smaller scale that would maybe just scratch that itch. Enter the IKEA dollhouse. This thing right here. Spoiler alert, it did not scratch my itch. Look, the IKEA dollhouse is cool and all, and I thought that maybe that would be like my cheap way of just getting a dollhouse and thinking about altering it myself, because there are some pretty cool like IKEA hacked dollhouses out there. But once I got it, it's really more of a decorative shelf, as you can see, which I've piled tons of tarot decks in it. It's now called my House of Tarot, and less of a traditional dollhouse that my heart truly yearned for. So I gave it up. I gave up the idea. I closed down the Pinterest boards, closed up my sketches, and put it to the side and thought, you know what? If one day I'm given a dollhouse or the universe presents me with a dollhouse, then I will dive into this crazy idea. Flash forward to 2 weeks ago. I am in a in-person drawing group, and we meet every Friday, and I've been part of this group for about a year. It's really nice. I've gotten to know a lot of people and I've made some new friends. And one of those new friends, we were hanging out outside of drawing club, she randomly turned to me and said, I want to give you a dollhouse. Now, this new friend, hi Tanya, she had no idea about my interest and fascination with dollhouses and this desire to do a dollhouse in my style. She had no idea. I had never said any of this to her ever. And she just out of nowhere said, I'm going to give you a dollhouse. And I was kind of shocked by it. Literally, like, what? Like a real dollhouse? What do you mean? It turns out that she had found a dollhouse for herself and a number of other ones as part of an estate sale, and she had them in her house, and she was working on one dollhouse for herself, and she had a couple extras lying around, and basically told me that she wanted to see what I would do with a dollhouse if she gave me one. Just knowing like my creepy vibes and my artwork style, she like knew just somehow. So about a week ago, she dropped off the dollhouse here at my house, and I could not believe it. It is a full-blown real dollhouse. It's already pre-assembled, and the previous owner, again, this was purchased from an estate sale. So I guess the previous owner was a bit of an artist, or she was into a lot of crafts. She had one room in her house that was all of these dollhouses. I also believe that owner is no longer with us. Maybe I have my hands on a haunted dollhouse. I mean, that would be pretty cool, right? So last Friday night, my friend dropped off this dollhouse, and it's incredible. Let me give you a tour. Now I'm gonna be putting in some better footage for you so you can really see it sort of up close. And right now it's just chilling on my dining room table. But it is a kit. Upon doing some research, it is the Fairfield Dollhouse kit. It is obviously already assembled. The previous owner has also done some painting to it. You can tell that the roof is painted. The side of the house is also painted. It has kind of a cream tone to it. The trim is in like a slightly iridescent white. So there has been some work that has already been kind of done to it. The inside as well has kind of wallpaper, some floorings. It has some things already going on here. Even on the top here, you can see that she added kind of some flooring. There's different textures going on. We've got sort of this like tile and kind of felt rug thing happening. The house also had some random pieces of furniture. We have like the little stove. I think this is the front porch stairs here, so that will need to get moved where it needs to go. There's little tiny newspapers in there. I mean, look, there's even a mirror in the back bathroom too. It's kind of wild. The door still needs to be kind of reattached. There's actually two doors, and I'll give you kind of the layout in just a second here. There was even just like a little bit of furniture that came with it. Not much furniture came with this. But you can see that there has been some work kind of done onto it. So this is the back part of the house. This is kind of the main guts. So we've got kind of the lower floor that has a fireplace. We've got kind of like one room over here with a fireplace. We have a second room over here, which you can see the fireplace. One of my favorite details of this house is that you can actually see the original owner's writing a little bit on that piece of wood inside of the fireplace, which I think is really cool. You can tell that it was kind of her labeling where things needed to go. There's random sort of glue and paint kind of all over. You can just tell that there has been some work kind of done onto it. Even just sort of this like brick paper on the fireplace, wallpaper on the back walls. There's a lot that's been kind of added that, I mean, let's be honest, I'm gonna have to strip this whole thing out. So that's sort of the lower floor from the back of the house. Then we have a second floor. From the second floor, you can see this sort of room which looked like she was setting it up for maybe like a child's bedroom of some sort with this sort of like quilted fabric and trim. And of course the little bear and the chair came along with the house. Next to that is another bedroom that has a little bit of a fireplace still coming up from the bottom, which is really cool. And then you can see past it the landing from the top stairs, and there's a bathroom back there. And back there is also where the blue is more landing from the stairs, but I'll show you that from the other side. And then of course we have an attic, and it's a huge attic space with sort of a separate little room and then a longer chunk of the attic which wraps around to the side. So let's turn this puppy around and I'll show you the side. And the side you can access all three levels as well. So on the bottom we have sort of like a kitchen area which goes out into like a entryway. Then we have up here, hello, you can see my camera, we have like what appears to be a little bathroom of sorts. The landing of the stairs, you got some cool windows going across, and then of course that goes into the other room where the chimney is. But you can see that there's like different textures that have already been kind of added to the house, some of which I might keep, some of which I may not. And then of course you have the upper stretch of the attic here as well. And you can see where the original owner added some wallpaper pieces in there, but never quite finished. There's even some on this side of the wall too. Turning the house around to the front, you can see that all of the windows have been already added to it. They've got like the little plastic sort of window vibe to it. It's got this really cool little wraparound sort of porch here with two entries. One that goes into our kitchen back here, and then another one that goes up to a entryway and some stairs that lead up to the second floor. which is just so cool. And I actually really like the wallpaper that's in this sort of back entryway. It's really fun. My friend had the door still, so we have the door there, but it does appear to still be missing another back door. And then, yeah, you can kind of see the whole front of the house here. It's pretty magical. And it is it's the real deal. It's a real dollhouse. It's exactly in my mind what I was looking for when I wanted to start my own dollhouse project. It's exactly what I wanted, something that was already constructed that I could just start to work on myself and just make it my own. Now, one of the next things I need to do is, because this dollhouse has been just chilling on my dining room table for the past week now, I need to make some space for it in my studio in here, because I want to be able to kind of turn around and work on it and see it. Not to mention, this thing is like a major upgrade in my studio, so I want to move my House of Tarot, Dollhouse 1.0, so that I can bring in the proper dollhouse and have it sit here behind me. I thought that that would be kind of a cool spot for it, especially because it will be behind me while filming things. I usually film in this direction, and I can just very easily kind of turn around and access it right here behind me. That's kind of the first thing that I want to do in this vlog series, is just kind of set things up. I need to get the house in here, clear off some space. I also want to get the house sort of cleaned up a little bit. I need to wipe it down. It's kind of dusty, and I want to start tearing out some of the stuff that's already in there. Kind of the felt flooring I want to get out of there, the random pieces of furniture I want to move out, so that I've got a nice sort of blank slate to start working on. I also want to specify that this is going to be a new vlog series that I'm doing here on the channel, obviously called the Dollhouse Diaries. This was along with my dollhouse idea that I had several years ago. I always knew that it was something that I wanted to document and put on YouTube as kind of its own little series. Also know that this is very much going to be like a hobby for me. It's not going to be something that I'm working on all the time. So it's going to be something that maybe I dabble on weekends, or if I come across one specific piece of furniture that I want to create, or if I want to hone in on one room. Needless to say, this is going to be a very, 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 very long-term project. I'm gonna slowly work on this, one room, one chair, one couch at a time. It's not something that I'm trying to like grind out and get done in a certain period of time. I think that will take away from kind of the joy of the project. I really want to be able to settle into it and put my kind of free time into it and document that journey along the way for all of you. So yeah, let me go ahead and move some things out of the way. I need to get all this cleared off, rehome this stuff, and then hopefully bring the dollhouse in here and see how it looks over there, and maybe start getting it cleaned up. Fun fact, and I'm not even kidding you, this is a bin I started a couple of years ago, and I randomly started hoarding, this is my version of hoarding by the way, dollhouse things, or things that I could put into a dollhouse. So I have all these random things that I've just like found over the years that I thought were cool, that just were interesting. This stuff I found on the side of a street because I just thought, who knows, I might be able to use that for something. I don't know. This random piece of furniture, which is obviously much too big for the scale of this house. I will note the scale of this dollhouse, 1/24 scale is the scale of this, so it's the itty bitty stuff. I have actually some lighting in here. Again, I found this on the street. I found this on the side of the street. Check out these like spooky lamps that have little bats on them. I literally found this on a curbside and picked it up and saved it. I have little like potted plants and things. I have some things that a patron had even sent me that I believe her mom like made by hand, or her mom had them, I'm not entirely sure, but I've just saved them. I literally have a bin of just random little dollhouse things without ever having a dollhouse. I mean, it's just so crazy how the universe works. The random bin of dollhouse stuff to now having an actual dollhouse. It's pretty wild. But at least I have a bin now, so I'm gonna take the furniture that I pull out of here, I'm gonna stick in here. I might also put the door in there too. Maybe we'll start with that and then slowly add everything else in. There she is. My goodness. All right, I'm happy with even just this. Just the fact that I've cleared stuff out, that I've made space for it. This was a huge to-do list item for me. I know you guys are probably anxious for me to like start painting or doing things to it, but just having it in here was a big enough step, and I'm absolutely thrilled about it. It's exciting that it's just like behind me, lurking, waiting. I did end up clearing off the stuff that was next to it, so I have sort of like my dollhouse bin stuff over here, and it gives me more like play space over here as I start to work on it. I did start to peel off some wallpaper where I saw it, some of the weird kind of felt floors, but I saved most of the pieces so that I could kind of use that for maybe like measurement templates. Because I know this particular dollhouse kit and I have found it online, I probably can find some decent blueprints and maybe some things like measurement wise that will maybe help me later on. Even just sticking my hand in there to clean it and wipe stuff down, I'm realizing how challenging it's going to be working on a house that's already assembled. It's making me realize that maybe along the way I might need to like disassemble certain parts of it to like get in there. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Or I'll just learn how to wedge my hand in there. I don't really know. But believe me when I tell you, I have so many plans for this dollhouse, and I am absolutely 100% making it spooky. I'll leave you with this. I'm heavily inspired by American Horror Story Coven. That location, that vibe. You might have gotten a little bit of the sense of it too from the music throughout this vlog series. The music that I kind of put in the trailer, that's kind of the vibe that I'm going for. It's a, well, let me just tell you what's on my mind. It's a house for a coven of witches in the South. I really want like a Southern Louisiana witch house is the vibe of this. I know one room I want to turn into like an apothecary room with overgrown plants and moss sort of growing into the walls and into kind of the floorboards. I know I want to have one room, or maybe like the little bathroom, turn into like a swamp witch kind of bathroom where maybe there is a pet alligator in there and there's a bathtub with weird bubbles and creatures and limbs and things hanging out of it. I love the idea of having a seance room or having a bonfire room where maybe one of the witches in the coven decided to have an indoor bonfire and it went awry, with maybe smoke swirling up out of a campfire out of felt and pluming up into the ceiling. I don't know, but this is the direction that my brain is going in. Spooky, Louisiana, American Horror Story Coven, Coven of Witches. Like, it's an apartment of witches that live in here, and all of their little personalities are seen in the various rooms throughout the house. That's kind of the vibe that I'm going for. That was certainly my vision that I had of it a few years ago, and I hope to kind of keep that vision going, or that ball rolling, as I actually start to work on the house. All right, so what's next? What's next for this dollhouse is that I actually want to paint it. I want to paint it really bad, and I feel like if I paint it, I just need to strip it down and get it to the most sort of like crisp state that I can get it in. Peel off or sandpaper off wallpaper that I know I definitely don't want in there, like in the kids' room. I don't like that wallpaper that's in there. But, you know, a fresh coat of paint on this thing, pure white, black roof, black trim, and maybe some shingles. I think that's gonna be the next thing on the to-do list for this dollhouse. So I think shingles on this would also really make a big difference. And just starting to spookify it a little bit, I think will help sort of in the planning of the interior. And I think that that's sort of phase 2, is as I start to paint the exterior of this, is really start to research and brainstorm what these different rooms or different little vignettes are going to be. So I look forward to like starting to sketch those ideas, pull inspiration, look for inspiration. So there you have it. That is episode 1. I'm doing this casual vlog style, and I think that it'll be kind of fun. And I hope you will join me for the spooky journey along the way. Welcome to the Dollhouse Diaries, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.